Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night to everyone watching. I hope you're having a great time. And today is the beginning of a new series I'm going to be making that will hopefully help beginners get into Linux a little better, a little more smooth. And the first decision you have to make when it comes to Linux is, what distribution do I use? So this is a new thing for a lot of beginners because Windows and macOS, they give you one option and one option only. It's Windows 11 or macOS, and that's it. There's no option. There's no decision to be made. They give you what they have, and that's it. You have to use that. But one of the beautiful things about Linux, it gives you options. It gives you... Exactly, it gives you options. So that means today we're going to help you choose that option and determine what is best for you, and hopefully get one decision out of the way so you can get to the installation progress. So let's start off with that. Okay, so you're looking at this image and going, alright, what am I looking at here? There are 3 logos. I don't get what these logos are. Well, Linux distributions, in general, there are some exceptions, but in general, they are based off of these 3. The first one here being Debian, the second one here being Fedora, and then the third one being Arch Linux. So let's see what their intended purposes are. So Debian, we're going to compare these distributions to cars or a form of something that you might know of. So Debian or Debian-based distros are like a Toyota Corolla. They don't offer the newest features, they don't offer the best performance out there, but you know that they're going to work. It gives you a just works experience, prioritizing stability over new features and new functions, which, yes, can be great for beginners, but at the same time, if your intention on using Linux is gaming or any other sorts of things, you're going to be missing out on some performance. Which is where Fedora can come in, where it'll offer a good compromise between stability and new functions. It won't be as stable as Debian, but it's going to offer you the newest versions of desktop environments. It's going to offer you the newest versions of kernels. It's going to offer you a lot of features that will help you gain performance. And yeah, it's for people who they still want something stable, but they do want new things. It still works on the point release system or the stable release system, meaning it comes out in versions. For example, Fedora, right now we're in Fedora 43, so there was Fedora 43, Fedora 42, Fedora 41, and all the versions that happened before that existed too. And now Arch Linux. Arch Linux, you look at stability, and it looks at stability and says, yeah, we don't care about you. Even though it's actually pretty easy now compared to before. Arch Linux is for people who want absolute control. They want to customize everything they can. They want control over everything they can. And Arch Linux or Arch Linux-based distros are very, very, very good for that. This is my personal favorite kind of distribution because it offers that freedom of doing what you want. It even lets you completely destroy the GUI, and it's awesome. It really is. The reason a lot of people do not recommend it for beginners is because it's not well, it is a just works experience, but there is a bit of tweaking to do before that is. Does this mean that these are the only 3 options you have for distributions? Absolutely not. Look at this next slide. Now, there is quite the little logos that are outside of the Debian logo, Fedora logo, and Arch logo are derivatives of said distribution. And the logos you see, all the versions, they're not all the versions in the world. They are really not. I'm gonna show you that. So as you can see here, this is a full family tree of Linux distros that exist. It's not very clear the way they're trying to show it, and it's also a very old graph, so there are distributions that exist today that aren't even in here, and some in here that might not exist as well, but that might give you the idea of how many derivatives there are. But we're going to focus on the ones I show here to not complicate our lives. So if we look at the Debian side, we've got Ubuntu, we've got Kubuntu, but that uses KDE instead of GNOME, so worse. We've got Linux Mint, which is also Ubuntu, but uses Cinnamon, so even worse. And then these two that I find acceptable. CachyOS is almost like a Fedora-based system, but it's still based on Debian, but that offers the newest kernel and newest packages, which is a very, very, very intriguing thing for a beginner, in my opinion. You got the ease of use and just works experience of a Debian-based system, but with the new features, and you won't lack performance when it comes to gaming, which will be very great. And then there's PopOS, which is, yeah, it's outdated still, but you don't lose out on performance, and it doesn't hold you back as much as these three. So if you absolutely need to use a Debian-based system, which it's possible, maybe you're trying to give this to someone who's really bad with computers, tech illiterate, we might say, these two might be a great option. Maybe this one more. The only reason I would maybe recommend Ubuntu is for server PCs. Like if you were making a PC and turning it into a dedicated server, like for Minecraft or some sort, Ubuntu does offer some pretty nice server things, but a lot of people will recommend Linux Mint for beginners, but I'm going to be in here and say no. It holds you back. Yeah, it's good for beginners in the sense it is a lot easier, but you don't learn about Linux on it, and it holds you back so much. It's not a good idea in my opinion. But again, that's what I started on, and what a lot of people started on. It's up to you. It really is up to you. Yeah. On the Fedora-based side, I only put 2 distros. There's actually not a lot of Fedora derivatives that I would recommend. Bazite isn't really one I would recommend unless you really want a living room style PC, which you can actually do with other distros, but this is what makes it easier. But other than that, it's a bit of a prison OS. It's an immutable operating system. Very similar to SteamOS, but again, if you want full control, or if you want a lot of control over your computer, this is just not it. Nobara here is very close to Fedora. Well, of course it's based off of Fedora, but it's a distro that Glorious Eggroll developed, and it's very good for the initial setup, like getting the multimedia codecs ready and all the gaming packages ready out of the box. But out of all of these, I would still probably recommend stock Fedora. It's an amazing distro, honestly. And if I absolutely had to abandon Arch Linux based distros, I would do that 100%. It's a great distro. And now, the Arch side. We've got CachyOS, which is what I use, and I think it is absolutely amazing. Mwah, chef's kiss. And then the 2 down here. EndeavourOS is just stock Arch, but it makes the installation quite a bit easier. But the installation of Arch Linux is really not as hard as it used to be. It really isn't. Like, when you get into the black box at the beginning, you type in Arch install, and that's it. It's like a normal installer. You just have to use the arrow keys and stuff. There's a lot of videos about it, and I will at some point make a video about it too. And then there's Manjaro. Just don't use Manjaro. There's no real reason when you have CachyOS. So out of the Arch Linux distros that I'm showing, you should pick either Arch, stock Arch, or Cachy. What does CachyOS offer? CachyOS offers the kernels and stuff to make new hardware shine. Like, so much better performance on games than on Windows for most games, and if they're a little bit lower on FPS, it's not going to feel laggy, it's not going to feel slow, it's not going to hitch, it's just going to be a breeze. And again, I will make videos about how to install it if you guys want, no problem. So, how would I conclude this? Well, basically, if you want stability first, I'm saying really stability first, you do not care. You're trying to find a replacement for Mac or Windows for your mom who does not understand anything about computers. Give them a Debian-based system, even though I'm not the best fan of it, the greatest fan of Debian distros. It's a good option if you want stability first. If you want newest features first and stability second, and I say second as in it's in second place, like it's still a good stable distro, go with something like Fedora. And if you want control and customizability first, not that you can't customize your desktop with Fedora or Debian-based distros, but Arch just makes it a lot better. You can really change absolutely everything. Go with an Arch-based system. If after this you still do not know what to do, do not know what to pick, honestly, you're going to be a distro hopper, so might as well just pick the one you find has the best looking logo. And if I were to follow that tip, I would go with Nobara probably. But yeah, the one thing I will say is if you're looking for a distro that will offer the best gaming experience and best performance possible, if that's what you're looking for, try CachyOS. I'll make videos about it and I'll have you covered. Don't worry about it. All right, so we got part 1 of this series set. Hopefully you chose your distro. The next video will be about choosing your desktop environment. If you're on a Debian-based distro, the chances are... did I say Sistro? I hope I said distro and not Sistro. If you choose a Debian-based distro... Oh, I just said Sistro again. Holy shit. Okay. If you choose a Debian-based distribution, chances are it's going to come installed with a desktop environment without you necessarily choosing. Ubuntu is the KDE version of Ubuntu, and Mint is the Cinnamon version or Mate version or whatever of Ubuntu. A lot of these distros will have choices of desktop environments when you install the ISO. Like for CachyOS, you'll have the choice between GNOME, KDE, Hyprland, and Neri. PopOS, you'll have the choice between Cosmic and GNOME. Maybe KDE now, but I don't remember. And Fedora will be the same thing. The Fedora Workstation ISO will be GNOME, and then there's going to be a specific KDE Workstation version. Same thing for Nobara. And then with Arch, you can install whatever you want at any time. That's what's really fun about Arch, is you can do really anything and it won't stop you. And that's a fun feeling if you want control like I do. Anyways, watch out for the next video about desktop environments. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.